Okay, example 2 says find the exact value of 2 tangent of 15 degrees over 1 minus, it should say tangent squared of 15 degrees. Typing fractions and exponents and denominators is just a little more complicated than it needed to be, so I just wrote off to the side. So step 1 says determine which trig formula is being used. So when you consider your 3 double angle formulas, the one that this is set up as is tangent. So I know we're talking about the tangent of 2 theta formula. Then we need to determine what they plugged in for theta. What they plugged in for theta is 15 degrees. So they say write the double angle formula and simplify. The tangent of 2 theta is 2 times 15 degrees. 2 times 15 is 30. So the tangent of 30 degrees, which I would then simplify. So tangent is y over x, sine over cosine, 1/2 over root 3 over 2. So let's see, 1/2 divided by root 3 over 2 is going to be a sine, so the root 3 is going to be in the bottom. So this is going to end up being root 3 over 3, which I believe you have written down on your unit circle. So the practice problem, find the exact value of, that was supposed to say. I believe it was supposed to say cosine squared of 22.5 minus sine squared of 22.5. So that's what it should say. And so they say determine the trig function being used. Well, which formula is being used is the cosine of 2 theta. And then what they plugged in for theta was 22.5. So when you take 22.5 times 2, you get 45, which means I'm finding the cosine of 45 degrees. And the cosine of 45 degrees is root 2 over 2. So the answer to the question is root 2 over 2. Okay, so we'll do example 3 here. So the half angle formulas, what is the cosine of 60 degrees? What is the cosine of half of that? Is it safe to say that you can just take half the cosine? The answer is no. If you take the cosine of 60 degrees and you get 0.5, the cosine of 60 divided by 2, which is 30, is not just half of that. There's a whole formula involved. So you can pause the video and get these written down. Notice that the entire fraction is underneath the square root, both the numerator and the denominator. So there's only ever one answer. It's either positive or negative, depending on alpha over 2. So maybe jot that down or just make note that it's not that there are 2 answers, it's either positive or negative. And at this point, I'll say kind of simple version, try both. And if the positive answer is wrong, try the negative answer. We'll talk about how to determine it on the first try, but you can guess and check here. So we will move on. I have this formulas written down. So example 3, find the exact value of cosine of 112.5. So they say determine which trig formula is being used, determine what they plugged in for alpha. So obviously the trig function being used is cosine, and so we have to, this right here, this setup is cosine of alpha over 2. So alpha over 2 is equal to 112.5. So it's not that I'm taking half of 112.5, I'm actually multiplying by 2 to find that alpha is whatever 112.5 times 2 is, which is 225. Alpha is 225, and we're using cosine. So the cosine of alpha over 2 is equal to plus or minus one of the two. We'll decide of 1 plus the cosine of alpha, which is 225 over 2. So let's see here. Let's decide whether it's positive or negative. So it's always dependent on alpha over 2. So since alpha over 2 is 112.5, we have to decide, is the cosine of 112.5 positive or negative? Well, this isn't the answer they want because they want the exact value, but the cosine of 112.5, let's make sure I'm in degree mode, is negative. So I want only the negative answer. So negative square root of 1 plus, let's see, the cosine of 225. The cosine of 225 is negative root 2 over 2. All over 2. So they're going to want us to keep going a little bit with this. So let's simplify what's underneath that square root. So 1 is the same thing as 2 over 2. So 2 minus root 2 over 2 all over 2, which is the same thing as divided by 2, which is the same thing as times 1/2. So this is 2 minus root 2 all over 4, but it's still got the square root and the negative. And so what they do in their final answer is recognize that the square root of 4 is 2. Let's see, I'll write it where I get a little more room. Not what I meant to do. So the square root of 4 is 2. And the square root of the numerator just stays the square root of the numerator, 2 minus root 2, and it's negative. So what you'll type in is that whole thing there. Negative root 2 minus root 2 all over 2. That whole thing is what you're typing into your answer. And then the practice problem, find the exact value of the tangent of 105. So obviously they're asking me about tangent. And if alpha over 2 is 105, then alpha is 105 times 2, which is 210. So the formula for the tangent of alpha over 2 is either plus or minus. Well, let's see here. The tangent of 105 is negative, so I know that I want my answer to be negative square root of 1 minus cosine of theta, so it's 1 minus cosine of 210. The cosine of 210 is negative root 3 over 2. Over 1 plus cosine, so 1 plus negative root 3 over 2. Okay, so that is the trig part. Now we just have to do the algebra part of it. So let's see here. I'm going to save the fact that it's negative root for the end. I'm just going to simplify what I've got here. So 1 plus root 3 over 2. 1 is the same thing as 2 over 2. So in the numerator, it's 2 plus root 3 all over 2. And in the denominator, 1 minus, so 2 over 2, so 2 minus root 3 all over 2, which is the same thing as 2 plus root 3 over 2 times the reciprocal, 2 over 2 minus root 3. For some reason, I think that they let you not rationalize the denominator and just get this answer. So 2 plus root 3 over 2 minus root 3. But if I needed to rationalize the denominator, then I would keep going. I would multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2 plus root 3. And I would have some FOILing to do. So I would have, let's see, 4 plus 2 root 3 and 2 root 3 is 4 root 3, and root 3 times 3 is 3. And then in the denominator, I would have 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 2 root 3 minus 2 root 3 cancel, minus 3, so it would just be over 1. So it would be 7 plus 4 root 3 over 1. But I think they let you write the pink answer. If not, you need blue answer. Yeah, so that's kind of complicated, the algebra part of it, but hopefully the trig part of it is a little bit more straightforward.